Welcome to Lesson 12, our last lesson of writing an academic essay from start to finish, where we've literally been writing an academic essay together from start to finish. In our previous lesson, we finished editing our essays. So essentially, we're done. However, if you want to take your essay to the next level, this is what this lesson, Next Steps and Advanced Techniques, is all about. We're going to cover some rules for good writing, common pitfalls to avoid, and tips for ongoing improvement in writing. All right, it's time to become master writers. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and let's get started. When we write an essay, we're communicating an idea. So essentially, we want to ask ourselves, what makes good communication? Good communication is two things. It's clear and it's concise. You want the person you're communicating to understand what you're saying, so it needs to be clear, and you want them to understand what you're saying as quickly as possible. So it needs to be concise. Here are some easy ways to make your writing clearer. First, you want to avoid jargon or overly complex terms. I once had a philosophy professor tell me to discuss big ideas with small words, and that's something that really stuck with me. If an idea is already complex, you don't want to make it more complex by using complex language. Here's an example. Instead of saying the project requires synergistic alignment, we can say the project requires teamwork. Another way to make your writing more clear is to avoid cliches. Cliches tend to be vague and they reduce the impact of your writing because they're just so overused. So instead of saying something like think outside the box, you can say something like be creative and innovative. So here we were specific about what we meant by think outside the box. Finally, to make your writing more clear, reword uncertain phrases. Instead of saying something like he seems to be improving, say he is improving. And now let's look at some ways to make our writing more concise. Because we've all been in a conversation with someone where we've been like, can you just get to the point? The first way to make your writing more concise is to remove filler words, things like very and really. So instead of saying something like the presentation was really very good, we would say the presentation was excellent. Another way to make your writing more concise is by using active voice. Active voice is where we use a subject, verb, object structure for our sentences. For example, instead of saying the ball was thrown by Sarah, we would say Sarah threw the ball. Here, Sarah is the subject, threw is the verb, and the ball is the object. So subject, verb, object. In the original sentence, we started with the object, followed by the verb, and then the subject. Finally, to make your writing more concise, use specific words. So instead of saying something like in as few words as possible, say concisely. Once we've made our writing clear and concise, then we can start adding some pizzazz. Before we go over some techniques on how to add pizzazz to your writing, I want to go over this quote by Gary Provost. I'm going to read the red part first and then the colorful part. Okay, red part. This sentence has 5 words. Here are 5 more words. 5-word sentences are fine, but several together become monotonous. Listen to what is happening. The writing is getting boring. The sound of it drones. It's like a stuck record. The ear demands some variety. Okay, now I'm gonna read the colorful piece. Now listen, I vary the sentence length and I create music. Music. The writing sings. It has a pleasant rhythm, a lilt, a harmony. I use short sentences and I use sentences of medium length. And sometimes when I am certain the reader is rested, I will engage him with a sentence of considerable length. A sentence that burns with energy and builds with all the impetus of a crescendo. The roll of the drums, the crash of the cymbals, sounds that say, listen to this. It is important. So write with a combination of short, medium, and long sentences. Create a sound that pleases the reader's ear. Don't just write words, write music. So, according to Gary Provost, in order to add pizzazz to our writing, we need to vary our sentence lengths. We want to use simple, compound, complex, and compound, complex sentences, long, medium, and short sentences. We can also use different sentence openers like subject, adverb, and prepositional phrases. We can use conjunctions to connect related ideas and lists to summarize details. We can also use appositive phrases to provide additional information. And a positive phrase is a phrase that gives you extra information about something and you put it between 2 commas. And finally, we want to vary our voice between active and passive, but try and stick to active. Remember, we still need to keep our writing concise. Like most art forms, the idea here is to get creative and experiment. And through experimentation, you will find your own writing voice. In addition to our writing being clear, concise, and having pizzazz, we want our writing to also flow nicely so that one idea moves seamlessly into the next. We already discussed linking words in previous lessons, so be sure to check out the lessons for writing introductions, writing body paragraphs, and writing conclusions. So lessons 8, 9, and 10. And you can also grab our free PDF of linking words. The link is in the description below. Outside of linking words, we can also create flow using parallel structures. This is when we use the same grammatical structure for related ideas. For example, instead of saying listening to music, playing an instrument, and to sing are all great ways to engage with music, we would say instead listening to music, playing an instrument, and singing are all great ways to engage with music. So here, all of our verbs agree. Listening, playing, and singing. You can also use pronouns to avoid repeating each sentence with the same subject. So instead of saying music helps students study, music improves memory, music can increase focus, you would say instead, music helps students study, it improves memory, and can increase focus. So here by saying it, using the pronoun it, you are referring to music. Both of these also help make your writing clear and concise. So to really summarize it, or to make it clear and concise, we want our writing to be clear, concise, creative, and connected. Now that we know what makes good writing, let's cover some common essay pitfalls so you can avoid them. First pitfall, providing dictionary definitions as a hook. This can come off as generic and like an easy way to start your essay. It's better either to paraphrase the definition in your own words or use a different hook strategy, like a question or a quote or an interesting fact. You can check out Lesson 8, Writing Introductions from this series for more on writing hooks. Also, that's not to say that using a dictionary definition as a hook won't work. It definitely could, but it needs to be executed properly. The second pitfall to avoid is just mechanically repeating ideas from the introduction in your conclusion. While you can definitely tie back to your introduction, your conclusion should summarize your body paragraphs. You also want to avoid introducing irrelevant ideas in your conclusion. This is something I've been a victim of myself. You want your conclusion to focus on arguments that you have already made. You don't want to go off topic at the end of your essay, or preferably at all. And finally, you want to avoid spending more words summarizing information rather than analyzing it. This is something I will see often in literary analysis essays, for example, where a lot of words are spent summarizing the literature rather than analyzing it. If you know of any other common essay writing pitfalls, let me know in the comments. Writing is an essential skill that extends far beyond essay writing. It is an absolutely vital communication skill. I read somewhere, I can't remember where, I think it was a post on Facebook or something, but I remember that I read that reading is like breathing in and writing is like breathing out. So let's look at some tips for improving our writing in general. First, set some goals. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What do you want to improve? Write it down. Writing it down is the first step to actually making it happen. So here's another benefit to writing. Also, like with any art, you want to expose yourself to a wide range of writing. Read stories, essays, journal articles, blogs. The more you read, the better you'll write. In addition to some reading, do some writing. Make sure you practice. Something as simple as keeping a journal will do wonders for your writing. And finally, review and reflect on your writing constantly. Whether you look back at your own writing or ask for feedback from an instructor, look at where you started, where you are now, and where you want to be, and then set some more goals. And of course, celebrate how far you've come. For even more resources on improving your writing, you can check out our complete resource list. It's called Resource List for Aspiring Writers. It's completely free and the link is in the description below. And that's it. We've written an entire essay together from start to finish. You are now ready to hand in your essay if you were working on a topic for school, and if not, we would love to see your essays. So please feel free to share it with our hashtag #AbriteEDU because we love to share our students' creations. Remember, you can also grab our entire writing and academic essay resource bundle. It includes all of the slides from our series, plus additional resources like the persuasive essay assignment, our resource list, and so much more. You can also sign up for tutoring with us for extra support. And of course, all the links are in the description. Thank you so much for joining me on this essay writing journey. It has been awesome. Let me know if you have any recommendations for future series you'd like to see. And I will see you next time.